Video made at Rollideo.com. Creating a video is now extremely easy with Rollideo. Here are some quotes from the Guardian article. I thought my boyfriend of 10 years was going to propose, then he told me he was trans. I consider myself an LGBTQ+ ally. But I wasn't prepared for the shock and confusion I'd feel when the person I thought I'd spend my life with told me their secret. It was 3 a.m. and I'd had a lot to drink. 2 reasons why I was pressing my boyfriend of 10 years on why he hadn't yet proposed. We were strong and happy, and loved each other madly, so his reticence seemed ludicrous to me when sober, let alone drunk. I suspect it was my ceaseless questioning that ultimately blew a fuse in his brain, because that's when he told me his secret. When I woke up, he was gone. I watched his WhatsApp status like it was the heart monitor of a sick relative. The second I saw online, I called and asked him to come home. To talk. To answer the questions that I'd scribbled illegibly on a half-folded piece of A4 paper. He walked through the door and sat down, his face masked with fear. "What were you trying to tell me?" I asked hopefully, all too aware of how different things can look when alcohol is no longer shaping your every thought. "I have gender identity issues," he blurted, eyes fixed on the floor. "I just don't identify with being male," he said. My throat thickened. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I knew this person better than anyone in the world, but could in no way reconcile him with the words coming out of his mouth. "Well, what do you identify with?" I pleaded, panicking. "I don't know, like, non-binary, or, oh my god, what was he about to say? Trans." The word flooded my body with a surreal disbelief. I was already sure, cold and emphatic, this was done. We were done. "But why?" he implored. "Because I can't be, I don't want to be with a woman." It was surprising to me how obvious this fact was, because everything else was suddenly underwater. "But I don't know how far it will go yet," he said. "I don't know anything yet. Except that our relationship is more important than my gender." My new therapist was a large woman with a kind face whose accent I couldn't decipher. I spilled the story chaotically. He was so sympathetic when I was on my period, I yelped. He would practically sprint to the shop to buy me ibuprofen or tampons. "Is that because he wished he was having periods?" Her response was reassuringly rational. "If he was jealous of you, it would have manifested in anger, not kindness. He was kind to you because he loved you, and didn't like seeing you in pain." At once gender was all around me, screaming in my face. Forms asking me if I am male, female, or whether I'd prefer not to say. How many times had he dared himself to tick something other than male? Every time I used a public loo, I wondered if he wanted to use the women's. The trans flag emoji appeared every time I wrote the word trans on WhatsApp. I surveyed women everywhere, as if every 5th person might be trans. It was inescapable. On the political stage, the UK government was being rightly condemned for failing to ban conversion practices for trans people. In Ukraine, many of them were denied safe passage at the border. It was a time of global reckoning, but selfishly I yearned for some respite. Packing up my stuff, we vacillated between sorrow that our relationship was over, and hope that we'd never let each other go. Not platonically, anyway. When I stayed over, we clambered into bed early, head to head, our legs entangled, his skin warming mine. In the morning, there came a point where we both knew that we were going to kiss. And then we had sex. But reality soon careered into view. If I was going to be a beautiful woman, I'd have had to have transitioned when I was a teenager. "Now I'm scared I'm going to be ugly," he confided, contemplating the ravages of puberty and testosterone. He mentioned hormones with earth-shattering nonchalance, saying he'd wait a year to see how he felt about the superficial stuff, clothes, piercings, hair, then make a decision. I read that estrogen can make a man infertile in as little as 6 months. 6 months. I had desperately wanted his child, though the impulse was quickly supplanted by a surge of uninspired rage. If I can't have his baby, then no one should be able to. And so I silently willed him to start taking the hormones as soon as medical sign-off would allow, a biting form of closure. Man, this was confusing. The devastatingly handsome boy I met on the first night of university, whom I'd grown up with and built a home and a life with, who was by my side when my dad was sick, could or would no longer be mine. Video made at Rollideo.com. Thanks for watching.